Welcome students. So, in the previous class I told you that after closing the discussion on the standard costing, now we will use another technique or learn about another technique which normally is used by the management in their decision making process, that is marginal costing. Marginal costing is a very useful effective tool to deal with different situations and take the decisions in the different situations. Maybe there is a competitive market, or maybe it could be the situation of entering into the new market with the existing product but the new market, or maybe introducing a new product in the market, in the existing market. So, whatever the situation in the market is there, we can use this technique if other techniques are not possible to be used. So, what is this marginal costing? Marginal costing is the one where we only take the decisions by dividing the total cost into the two broad components, variable cost and the fixed cost. We do not take or calculate the total cost in a way as we have been learning about to calculate under the absorption costing system or the total costing system. In the total costing system, if you recall, the first topic we discussed, that was cost sheet or the statement of the cost. There we learned about how to calculate the total cost of production, and there we took into consideration both variable and the fixed cost with regard to a product, and it should be taken also because both the costs are costs and should be included while working out the total cost of the production per unit or maybe total. But sometimes what happens that normally we follow the absorption costing system, because marginal costing is not the alternative to the total costing system. For that, the true alternative to the total costing system is, for correcting the limitations of the total costing system, is the activity based costing, which will be the next topic I will discuss with you. But if you talk about the total costing system and its alternative as activity based costing system, implementing the activity based costing system is not very easy and very convenient for all the organizations because of its technicalities and the high amount of the cost of implementing that system in any form. So, normally we follow the total costing system or the absorption costing system in a normal business situation, in a normal market situation, but sometimes when the market changes or the market dynamics change, maybe because of that some new players have come up in the market and the existing players are facing a stiff competition, because market size remaining the same, if the number of suppliers increase in the market. So, what happens in that case, the competition increases, and when the competition goes up, you have to deal with taking the decision with regard to the cost front. You have to reduce the cost of the production, and then to add up your margin you have to redo the whole pricing process. It may be possible that temporarily, because of the increased competition in the market, because of the market dynamics or entry of the new players in the market, maybe the new players are very efficient in the market, they are giving a stiff competition to the existing players in the market. So, in that case it may be possible that when the new player, very strengthful powerful player comes in the market with a similar type of services or sometime even the better services, right. So, the existing players face a problem, and in that case the outcome or the alternative with the existing players is either to go out of the market or provide a stiff competition, means stand with your own convictions and with the belief with your product and your services and compete in the market with the new player who may say very strong, very strengthful, who may be financially very strong or very effective player. But if the firms stay in the market and keep on providing the competition or fighting those competitions, so sometimes even the biggest and very strengthful players can also be compelled to come down to a level where the existing firms are working. Now, I tell you that a very interesting situation or a very interesting case in the mobile telephony sector. Before this entry of Jio Telecom, we had different players in the market, and you might have seen that what was the price of the mobile services at that time. The talk time being given to us by the other companies like Airtel or Vodafone or maybe the other smaller companies or maybe Idea at that time. What was the price? Maybe we were using total per month, we were being given 1.5 GB, 2 GB data for the whole of the month, and the price of that was somewhere 300 and 350 rupees. So, that was the situation, because Airtel was also pricing their services like that, Vodafone was also pricing their services like that, and the Idea was also pricing their services like that. But when Jio as a very powerful strengthful player entered in the market, and initially they started giving their services free of cost to the people, and later on when even they started pricing it also, they priced it at such a low level that it became a question of survival for the existing giant, the biggest player, that is Airtel, and the other two companies, Vodafone and Idea, had to enter into a joint venture to fight against the competition of the Jio and the other players in the market. Now in this case, means that situation when the Jio came in the market, everybody knew that it is coming from a very powerful player, very strengthful company, very strengthful powerful name in the market, Reliance Industries. And if Reliance is behind any sector or be the promoter of any company into any existing or a new area, then the existing players, means there is a reason for them to think about that how to deal with this competition given to them by this giant. Though Jio entered in the market at a very later stage, right? Airtel is in the market. Airtel is the first mover in the mobile telephone in India, followed by Idea, followed by say Vodafone. Jio came very late in the market, they entered in the market very late, but everybody knew it that when it is being launched by a very powerful player in the market, it means you cannot take the entry of Jio in the market so lightly. So you have to now think it that how to survive in the market. So Jio came as a introductory offer, it came as a free of cost initially, they kept on extending it, but because of the provisions of the Competition Act, now they had to start pricing their services, because beyond a limit you cannot distribute your services at a price which is lesser than the cost or sometimes free of cost. It is not possible. Means if you continue doing that, the intention that is communicated to the market, the feeling which is communicated to the market is that you want to kill the existing competition from the market, existing players from the market, and when these players will be dead, will be going out of the market, then you will jack up the price and exploit the customers. So that is not allowed. So that was allowed for some period of time, and under the predatory pricing, that's one negative pricing system is defined under the Competition Act, that under the say that clause of the predatory pricing, Jio was asked to then start pricing their services and then to say compete in the market. But even you see, when they started pricing it, even today also, today they give you 1.5 GB data per day. That data which was given to us by Airtel, by Vodafone, by Idea, was being given to us 1.5 GB or 2 GB or 3 GB data for the whole of the month at a very high price. That same amount of data, 1.5 GB data, you are using for the whole month, means that is per day data, that is 1.5 GB data you can use, and your telephone is working with the help of that system and your internet is also working with the help of that system. So even you buy a plan of Jio for 149 rupees, I am not advertising for any company, but it is my personal experience that if you buy a monthly plan of the 149 rupees, that gives you the facility of unlimited calling and the 1.5 GB data per day, which was not possible before the entry of the Jio in the market. Now when the Jio came in the market, Airtel, they had to redo the whole pricing system. Vodafone, they had to do the redo the whole pricing system. Then this Idea, they had to do the redo the whole pricing system. So Airtel could survive in the market because they reworked their total pricing system, but the Idea and Vodafone found it that individually fighting this competition in the market may not be possible. So let us form a joint venture. So they entered into a joint venture and now they are collectively they are competing in the market. Now the pricing of the mobile telephony, both communication charges, that is the internet as well as the mobile telephone, have seriously come down after the entry of this big player in the market. Now at that time, for example, if the Airtel was not able to match the pricing of the Jio, or the Idea and Vodafone were not able to match the pricing of Jio, so the one option in their mind was to go out of that sector. But since it is not very easy for the existing players and that to the larger players to go out of the market immediately, so they keep on trying their luck and then they have to redo their whole costing process. Normally I told you in the beginning of this discussion that we have to recover the total cost of the production or the service or generating that service plus margin on that, so work out the price, because costing is the basis of the pricing, means cost plus margin is the selling price per unit. But sometimes it may be possible that it is not possible for the firms to recover the full cost of production, that is both variable and the fixed cost. and they know it that if they sustain this competition for some period of time, then in the time to come, even the existing this giant who is giving the services free of cost or maybe at a very lesser price, they also would be compelled to jack up the price and to start charging a higher price. But till the time that company starts pricing its products or services or they increase the price, we have to stay in the market. Now, if you have to stay in the market and you are not able to recover the total cost of the production plus margin, so you follow the process of the marginal costing here. What we do is, for some period of time for which we feel that this competition is there in the market or it's very high stiff competition in the market, you forget your profit for some period of time. Second step then you have to take is that you might have to forget the fixed cost also for some period of time, and only you have to keep on pricing your product based only upon the variable cost. When I talk about the marginal costing means it is a variable costing system. So, you have to think about that, see, if I am able to recover the variable cost, that how much cost I am incurring, that is a recurring cost of say creating that product or the service. Even if I am able to recover that and I am not able to recover the fixed cost and not able to earn the profits, and this phenomena is going to be very short lived in the market, then you should use the marginal costing in this situation. You calculate divide the whole cost into two components, variable cost and the fixed cost. Fixed cost is otherwise we call it as a sunk cost. You go for the production, you do not go for the production. Till the time the company is existing in the market, you have to pay the fixed cost. You cannot avoid it. But the variable cost will only happen if you go for the production or generating of the services. So, when the fixed cost has to be in any case and we do not want to pull down the shutter or close down the business, we want to stay in the market and fight the competition, then forget the profit for some period of time, forget the fixed cost for some period of time considering it is a sunk cost, and you only start pricing your product only on the basis of the variable cost, right. Now, for example, we talk about that, say earlier we were selling a product. If this is a situation, we were selling a product in the market for say 15 rupees per unit, 15 rupees per unit, that is our selling cost, and in this selling price your 8 rupees is the variable cost, 2 rupees is the fixed cost, and 5 rupees is the profit. These are the three. So, it is how much? It is the 15 rupees per unit is the finally selling price what we have decided, and we are selling the product in the market per unit. Now, there is a new player which has come up in the market, and that player has started selling their product at 9 rupees per unit. The product which you are selling in the market for 15 rupees, now they are selling, your competitor is selling for 9 rupees in the market. They know it that selling at 9 rupees is also not possible for the new player, but the new player is knowingly doing it that if I start pricing the product at such a low price and offering it to the people will means the players or the customers of the existing players in the market, they will shift to my side, and later on when I am able to kill these small companies in the market, I will jack up the price to 15 rupees or 16 rupees and then recover the whole loss or maybe the lesser recovery of the price which I have done in the past. Now, this player has come up in the market, they are selling for 9 rupees per unit, existing player was selling for the 15 rupees per unit, their cost was 8 rupee as a variable cost, 2 rupees per unit as a fixed cost, and 5 rupees margin they were earning. Now, they have two options available, either to close down the business, pull the shutters and go out of the market. What if they feel that still they can fight the competition and this company can also or can be forced to raise the price later on. So, how they have to look at the total costing system? Here it is, what is now the variable cost? 8 rupees, you have to recover it. You cannot think of staying in the market without even recovering the variable cost, you cannot pay the cost from your pocket. So, whatever the variable cost of generating that service or manufacturing that product, you have to recover that, and in 9 rupees we are able to see that we are able to recover the variable cost. Out of the 2 rupees of the fixed cost, we are able to recover how much? 1 rupee. So, it means we are also able to bring it down to 9 rupees per unit. What we are not able to recover now? 1 rupee is the fixed cost and 5 rupees as the profit, that is the 6 rupees per unit, right. So, rather than going out of the market, and if you feel that this pricing is a short lived pricing, It's only a gimmick used by the new player to kill the existing players from, or to shunt the existing players out of the market. In that case, if you feel that there is a scope for the future improvements, you start redoing the pricing system, and you can also reprice your product at 9 rupees per unit. When your competitor would see that all competitors are selling the product at 9 rupees per unit, and the customers of the existing companies, they are not shifting towards a new player. So it may be possible that even the new player, how long the new player will also be able to sustain that loss. So they may think about that the pricing strategy which I used by lowering down the price to 9 rupees, my competitors, existing players in the market, they have also followed the same. And whatever the new market, he thought that by offering the product at 9 rupees per unit, he will be having, say for example, 20% market, but that nothing has happened, because the customers of the existing companies are with the existing companies, because existing players also have brought down the cost to 9 rupees. So anticipating a market share, immediately the market share of 20% means snatching it from the existing players, the new player is not able to do anything. And when your market is only 2%, 1% or 3%, as against your standard estimate of 20%, how big or how strengthful you might be, you have to revise your pricing system, and then you have to bring it up to a level where we are able to recover the total cost, fixed cost and the variable cost, and add some profits. And when the moment it is done, the other players can also jack up the price, and the price can come back to, may not be 15 rupees, because entry of the new player in the market has been there, and you have to face some heat because of that. So it may not be possible to sell the product again at 15 rupees per unit currently. If it comes down even to 12 rupees per unit, still you are earning a profit of 2 rupees. Your profit has come down from the 5 rupees per unit to 2 rupees per unit, but still you are a profitable organization. And it can be increased with the passage of time. All the players, when they start increasing it, the existing players can also increase it, and they can come back to the old pricing system. So in this situation, for example, if the marginal costing system is not there, then we are immediately dead. We are not able to fight that competition and to sustain in the market, because we will see here our total cost of production is 10 rupees, their selling price is 9 rupees. So we are not able to recover the total cost, even there is a loss of 1 rupee in the cost, but to talk of the profits. So it's there for us to go out of the market. It has happened in the past. For example, I give you the example of electronics industry in India. Before this economic liberalization, we had many Indian companies manufacturing color TVs for us, or maybe all electronics products for us, because these multinational companies were not allowed. In India, they were not allowed to enter in the Indian market. You call it Samsung, LG or Sony, these three bigger companies, right? 2 Korean companies and 1 Japanese company. So when they were not in the market, they were not allowed to enter in the market. There are so many other companies, they were manufacturing and selling the electronics products, maybe your refrigerators, your CTVs, your other electronics items, they were manufacturing. And almost, because they were domestic players, so their cost of production was almost same. So they were charging the same cost of production, which was, as compared to today's pricing, it was very high at that time. There are the companies like Onida, Videocon, who had a very larger market share, and their product was considered as a pride to the honor. These 2 companies are nowhere in existence now when the multinationals entered in the market. When after liberalization of Indian economy, Samsung, LG and Sony entered the market. They came out with the best of the technologies, best of the products, and at a very, very competitive price. We knew at that time that what we were buying till date, we were being exploited by these Indian companies. As a customer, we should have the power to dictate the terms to the manufacturer. They were rather exploiting our sentiments and were charging a very exorbitant price for the products or services they were selling to us. And when these existing Indian companies, when they also found that we will not be able to fight the competition from these 3 giants. So what happened? Slowly and steadily, these companies started vanishing out of market. There were many brand names, Beston, Texla, Dynora, Solora, Baltec, so many brands were there in the market. They all went out of the market because they knew it, that we will not be able to strive for and to fight this competition. Videocon, Onida, they try to strive in the market, to stay in the market for some period of time, and today also they are in the market, but their market share has become so low that mostly they are the loss making companies. They are making their last ditch effort, but I do not think that they will be able to compete with these three multinational giants. So, you have seen it that even by following the variable costing system or the marginal costing system, the cost of production of a CTB by these existing or the erstwhile Indian companies was so high that it was not possible to match with the cost of production of the multinational giants. So, means they have left the market, they have gone out of the market. There is one famous Harvard professor, Michael Porter. He says that if any market dynamics change and the new competition comes up in the market, and you find it that it is not possible for you to fight the competition in the market, it is better to pull down the shutters, change your business and move towards the other areas of the business, maybe the production or the services sectors. There is no point keep on fighting with the giants, because simply you will be wasting your time, energy, money, and ultimately you will be going out of the market. So, in certain cases firms strive for and they stay in the market, they sustain, they fight the competition, whereas in certain cases they prefer to close down the business, go out of the market and then not to fight with any kind of the competition which they are not able to. I will give you another classical example of, for example, you talk about the cold drinks industry in India. You know that now the largely almost 100% market is in the hands of the two multinational companies, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Before the entry of these two companies in Indian market, the soft drink market was controlled largely by Parle's industries. Parle's was manufacturing all these cold drinks and they were selling in the market. When the Coca-Cola came to the market and Coca-Cola offered the price that Parle's, you will not be able to fight the competition with us. So, better you sell your business to us and you go out of the market. Parle's analyzed the total market dynamics, total market situation, and they thought it well that yes, it is not possible for us to fight with a giant who has its presence not only in India, but in many countries in the world. We are only in India, but they are into many countries in the world. If they even have to sell the product in India at loss, they will be able to make up that loss good from the other countries' markets. So, why to keep on hitting your head against the wall? It is better to sell the business or to close down and change the area of your operation. They sold their soft drink business to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola acquired the total soft drink business from the Parle's, and finally now the two companies are there in the market, Coke and the Pepsi, because they are the international giants, they are global giants. Their financial might, their innovative might, their quality of the product and the other things are so different and so high, so better that you are not able to compete in the market. So, in this situation means you have to make the last ditch effort if you want to make it. Because of the changed market dynamics, you can do that. You have to think about that now the market has changed, we cannot recover the full cost plus profit. Now, rather than simply dying its own death, let us make the last ditch effort. Let us see how long our new competitor or strengthful player stays in the market. So, you strategically change your costing system. Rather than recovering the total cost, variable and fixed plus profit, you think about that now what is the best price available in the market. In this case it is 9 rupees, your cost, variable cost is 8 rupees, and still you are able to recover 50% of the fixed cost, no profits. If you do not go for if you stop the production, all your fixed costs will go down in the drain, you will not be able to recover much out of it, only salvage value. Profit is not at all there. But if you feel that this competition is short lived, for example, Airtel also felt like that. Airtel is not making you can call it as very significant profits now as they were making in the past. Airtel being the first mover in the market, they have faced a stiff competition in the market from Jio and other two companies, even the Vodafone, a UK based company, a multinational company, and Idea also having a very good presence in the market. They had to join hands, but both these three companies were sure about that one day Jio will have to start pricing their services, and second thing is when they start pricing the services, they will have to recover the loss which they have done while distributing their service free of cost. So, they will jack up the price, and when the moment they jack up the price, we will also jack up the price, and we will now create a level playing field where all the four companies are competing with each other and they have the sizable market share. So, in anticipation to that, they stayed in the market, they are striving the competition in the market, and Jio is still the cheapest means service provider in the market. Many people have shifted from the existing companies to Jio, and other companies, though they are striving but facing a stiff competition, but it may be possible that they are again now pricing their services based upon the variable cost and recovering only the part of the fixed cost. It may be possible that Airtel is incurring a loss. It may be possible that Idea and Vodafone joint venture is in loss. They are not making profits, but they know it that we are very large in size. If we continue offering the innovative services to the people, maybe our customer base will improve and our services will also improve, this quality of the services will also improve. So, it may be possible that the customers who have immediately shifted from ours, say who were our customer in the past, if they have shifted to Jio, then they will be compelled to come back and to join again, say back us or to avail our services, but still it is not a very difficult situation for these three companies to sustain in the market. So, they are sustaining, they are striving, and now they are competing with each other in the market. So, there are number of cases, especially before liberalization and after liberalization of Indian economy, number of cases I can tell you. Talk about the steel sector. There was the same situation, only Steel Authority of India SAIL was the sole steel provider to the country. But after this, say liberalization, when Jindals came to the market, when the SR came to the market, Lloyds came to the market with the steel products, people could get the better options at the very competitive price. So, SAIL became a SIG company, and today the SAIL is striving for this sustenance in the market. This all has happened because of the changed market dynamics, changed competitive situation in the market, and before pulling down the shutter, you can make the last ditch effort by using the marginal cost or the marginal costing system, in hope that in future the situation will improve, and then we will start recovering our total cost, fixed plus variable, plus adding some profit on that. Now, let us understand what is the marginal costing system and what do we mean by it. Marginal cost. Marginal cost means little increase in the cost because of the increase in the production. If you have the certain amount of the production and you increase it by 1 unit, then that cost which increases because of increase in the production by 1 unit, that is called as the marginal cost. In a way you call it as the variable cost, right. So, marginal cost is the amount at any given volume of output by which aggregate costs are changed if the volume of output is increased or decreased by even 1 unit. And the marginal costing is a technique of ascertainment of the marginal costs and of the effect on profit of changes in volume or type of output by differentiating between the fixed cost and the variable costs. This is a technique where you cost the products based upon the variable cost and fixed cost, but separately, not like the total costing system where you take the total cost into account. So, let us understand what is the definition of the marginal cost. Is the amount at any given volume of output by which aggregate costs are changed if the volume of output is increased or decreased by even 1 unit. What does it mean now? It means that, for example, we are currently producing how much? Production is 30,000 units. We are producing currently 30,000 units, right. Our fixed cost of production is rupees 150,000, 1,50,000, and our variable cost is rupees 10 per unit. Variable cost is rupees 10 per unit. So, now you calculate the cost here. To calculate the total cost of production, if you calculate the total cost of production, what is the variable cost? You will calculate the variable cost 30,000 into 10 will be how much? 3 lakh rupees, right, and add fixed cost. If you add the fixed cost in this, that will remain the fixed, that is 150,000. So, what is the total cost here? Total cost is 450,000 rupees. 4,50,000 rupees is the total cost of production, that is 3 lakhs plus 150,000 is the total cost of production is rupees 450,000. Now, what is the marginal costing? That means the cost which changes by increase or decrease in the production by even 1 unit. Now what we do is we increase the production by 1 unit. Now how much we are producing? Earlier we were producing how many units? 30,000. How much we are producing now? It is 30,001. This is the total number, and this unit we have increased by 1. Now you rework the whole costing system. If you work out the rework out the whole costing system, what is the variable cost now? Variable cost is going to be how much? This is going to be 3,10,000 rupees. 3,10,000 rupees is the variable cost. Now what is the fixed cost? It is same, 150,000. So what is the total cost now? Total cost is rupees 400 and 4,50,010 rupees. 4,50,010 rupees. Earlier what was the cost? It was 450,000 rupees. Now what is the cost? 450,010 rupees. So this 10 rupees cost has increased because of increase in the production by 1 unit. Earlier we were producing 30,000, now we are producing 30,001 units, and because of that your fixed cost has remained as fixed, that is 150,000. Your variable cost only has changed from the 3 lakh to 3,10,000 rupees, and the total cost has become, that is 4 lakh and the 4,50,010 rupees. So this increase in the cost, what is written here? This increase in the cost because of any reason is, if you look at this increase in the cost, is the amount at any given volume of output by which aggregate costs are changed if the volume of output is increased or decreased by even 1 unit. And that is what we did it. When we increase the volume of production by 1 unit, then you have seen the total cost of production has changed, but only by the cost or the amount of the variable cost, not the amount of the fixed cost. Fixed cost has remained the same, only variable cost has changed. So this is a technique of marginal costing, just beginning to learn about the marginal costing. So this 10 rupees increase in the cost is called as the marginal cost. This is the marginal cost, and this is because of the increase in the variable cost. So variable cost happens when you go for the production. If you go for the production, your variable cost is according to that. If you do not go for the production, your variable cost is 0. But fixed cost, whether you go for the production, you do not go for the production, fixed cost you have to pay. So the cost which is getting affected by increasing or decreasing in the production, that is the variable cost. So sometimes when it is not possible to recover the total cost from the market because of certain changes in the market dynamics, you now change your costing strategy, costing technique from the total costing system to marginal costing system, and then you think that first I would like to recover the variable cost, then the fixed cost, and then I will talk about the profit. So if you are not able to recover the fixed cost and profits, at least try to recover the variable cost and stay in the market and fight the competition. This is just beginning discussion on the marginal costing technique. Furthermore, and the technique and how this technique will work, what are the different, say you can call it as the components of the marginal costing, this all I will discuss with you in the next class. Thank you very much.